excitement of the crew as we embarked on our journey into the unknown. Captain Marcus Reyes stood at the helm, his hands steady on the controls as he guided the USS Epsilon through the vast expanse of space. His voice rang out over the intercom, commanding attention as he delivered a rousing speech to the crew. "My fellow explorers," he began, his voice echoing through the bridge, "today, we stand on the threshold of history. Our mission aboard the USS Epsilon represents the pinnacle of human achievement, as we venture forth into uncharted territory to unlock the secrets of the cosmos." I listened intently, my heart swelling with pride at the captain's words. For as long as I could remember, I had dreamed of exploring the stars, of venturing beyond the confines of our solar system to discover what lay hidden in the depths of space. And now, at last, that dream was becoming a reality. As Captain Reyes spoke, I glanced around the bridge at my fellow crew members, each one eager and determined in their own way. There was Lieutenant Patel, the ship's communications officer, her fingers flying across the console as she relayed messages to and from mission control. And there was Dr. Chin, the ship's resident xenobiologist, his eyes alight with curiosity as he pored over data from our previous missions. Together, we represented the best and brightest that humanity had to offer, united in our quest to push the boundaries of knowledge and exploration. And as the captain's speech drew to a close, I felt a surge of excitement course through me, driving away any lingering doubts or fears. With a final command, Captain Reyes set the ship's course for our first destination, a distant star system on the edge of known space. And as the stars streaked past us in a blur of light, I knew that our journey had only just begun. Little did I know, however, that our voyage into the unknown would soon take us far beyond the limits of our imagination, plunging us into a cosmic nightmare from which there would be no escape. But for now, as the USS Epsilon hurtled through the void, I allowed myself to bask in the thrill of discovery, eagerly anticipating the adventures that lay ahead. With the departure formalities completed, the bridge buzzed with activity as the crew settled into their respective stations. I made my way to the research lab, eager to join my colleagues in charting our course through uncharted territory. Entering the lab, I found Dr. David Chin hunched over a computer console, his brow furrowed in concentration as he analyzed data from our previous missions. His glasses slid down his nose as he peered intently at the screen, lost in his work. "David," I greeted him with a smile, "any interesting findings?" He looked up, startled, before returning my smile with a nod. "Ah, Emily, good to see you." "Yes, indeed. I believe I've uncovered something quite remarkable in the data from our last survey." I joined him at the console, my curiosity piqued. Together, we pored over the data, discussing the implications of his findings and brainstorming ideas for further research. As we worked, Lieutenant Patel entered the lab, her expression serious as she approached us. "Dr. Carter, Dr. Chin, Captain Reyes requests your presence on the bridge. We're about to set our course for our first destination." Excitement surged within me as I followed David out of the lab and back onto the bridge. Captain Reyes stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the viewport as he prepared to input the coordinates for our journey into the unknown. "Dr. Carter, Dr. Chin, glad you could join us," he greeted us with a nod. "We're about to set our course for the Gliese 581 system, a promising candidate for potential habitable exoplanets. I trust you both are ready to begin our research?" David and I exchanged a glance before nodding in unison. "Absolutely, Captain," I replied, my voice filled with determination. "We're eager to get started." With a few swift keystrokes, Captain Reyes input the coordinates into the ship's navigation system, setting us on a direct course for our first destination. As the stars streaked past us in a blur of light, I felt a thrill of excitement course through me, knowing that we were embarking on a journey that would change the course of history. Little did I know, however, that our voyage into the unknown would soon take a dark and terrifying turn, plunging us into a nightmare from which there would be no escape. But for now, as the USS Epsilon hurtled through the void, I allowed myself to bask in the thrill of discovery, eagerly anticipating the adventures that lay ahead. And so, with our course set and our spirits high, we embarked on our journey into the unknown, unaware of the horrors that awaited us beyond the stars. The ship hummed with activity as I made my way through the corridors of the USS Epsilon, the familiar sounds of machinery and chatter echoing off the metal walls. But beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of tension, a sense of unease that hung in the air like a thick fog. I glanced around, noting the furrowed brows and whispered conversations among the crew members as they went about their duties. Something was wrong, I could feel it in my bones, though I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. As I reached the research lab, I found Dr. Chen hunched over his computer console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "David, have you noticed anything unusual lately?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. He looked up, startled, before nodding slowly. "Yes, Emily, I have. I've been hearing whispers, faint and indistinct, echoing through the corridors late at night. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but now I'm not so sure." My heart skipped a beat at his words, a chill running down my spine. "Whispers?" I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. "I've heard them too. I thought I was going mad." Dr. Chen nodded in understanding, his expression grave. "I've tried to track down the source of the whispers, but they seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It's as if they're coming from the walls themselves." The implications of his words sent a shiver down my spine, my mind racing with possibilities. What could possibly be causing the whispers? And more importantly, what did they want from us? As the hours passed, the whispers only grew louder and more insistent, their words twisting and distorting in my mind. I tried to focus on my work, to push aside the creeping sense of dread that threatened to overwhelm me, but it was no use. By the time evening fell and the crew retired to their quarters for the night, I was on edge, my nerves frayed and raw. As I lay in my bunk, I could hear the whispers echoing through the walls, their voices a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edges of our reality. And as sleep finally claimed me, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that something malevolent was lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. Little did I know, however, that the whispers were only the beginning of the horrors that awaited us aboard the USS Epsilon. The next day aboard the USS Epsilon was fraught with tension as the whispers persisted, growing louder and more pervasive with each passing hour. Crew members exchanged nervous glances as they went about their duties, their movements tense and jittery. I could feel the weight of the whispers pressing down on me, their insidious voices worming their way into my thoughts and filling me with a sense of unease. I tried to shake off the feeling, to focus on the tasks at hand, but it was like trying to ignore a persistent itch that refused to go away. As I made my rounds through the ship, I couldn't help but notice the strained expressions and hushed conversations among the crew. Paranoia hung in the air like a heavy fog, clouding our judgment and sowing seeds of doubt in our minds. I knew that something had to be done before the tension boiled over into outright panic, but I wasn't sure where to begin. How could I calm the fears of the crew when I was struggling to keep my own anxieties at bay? It was then that Lieutenant Patel approached me, her expression grave. "Dr. Carter, we need to talk," she said, her voice low and urgent. I nodded, gesturing for her to follow me to a quiet corner of the bridge where we could speak in private. "What's on your mind, Lieutenant?" I asked, my heart pounding in my chest. She hesitated for a moment before speaking, her words measured and careful. "I've been monitoring the crew's vitals, and, well, they're not good. People are on edge, their stress levels through the roof. If we don't do something soon, I'm afraid things are going to spiral out of control." I swallowed hard, the gravity of her words sinking in. She was right, if we didn't find a way to quell the rising tensions among the crew, it was only a matter of time before panic set in, and chaos ensued. But before I could formulate a plan of action, a commotion broke out across the bridge as crew members shouted and pointed at the view screen. I rushed to join them, my heart pounding in my chest as I saw what had caused the uproar. Outside the viewport, shadowy figures flitted past in the darkness, their movements swift and elusive. They seemed to dance on the edge of perception, their forms shifting and twisting in the dim light of distant stars. A chill ran down my spine as I realized the truth. The whispers, the symbols, the sightings of shadowy figures, they were all connected, pieces of a larger puzzle that I was only just beginning to understand. And as the whispers grew louder and the shadows closed in around us, I knew that we were in for a fight unlike any we had ever faced before. But whether we would emerge from the darkness unscathed, only time would tell. The first inkling that something was amiss came when Lieutenant Patel stumbled upon a strange symbol etched onto the bulkhead of Deck 7. It was unlike anything any of us had ever seen, a complex arrangement of lines and curves that seemed to twist and contort in the dim light of the corridor. As word spread throughout the ship, speculation ran rampant among the crew. Some dismissed the symbols as nothing more than a prank, while others whispered of more sinister explanations. But one thing was clear, the symbols were causing a stir, and it was up to us to uncover their meaning. Dr. Chen and I wasted no time in launching an investigation, poring over ancient texts and scientific data in search of any clues that might shed light on the symbols' origins. But try as we might, we could find no explanation for their existence. "It's like they appeared out of thin air," I muttered, frustration creeping into my voice as I rubbed my temples in exhaustion. There must be some kind of logical explanation for all of this. Dr. Chen nodded in agreement, his expression grave. "I've searched through every database at my disposal, but I can't find any reference to these symbols anywhere. It's as if they're beyond our understanding." The implications of his words sent a chill down my spine, my mind racing with possibilities. If the symbols were truly beyond our understanding, what hope did we have of unraveling the mysteries that surrounded us? As the days passed and the symbols continued to appear with increasing frequency, tensions aboard the USS Epsilon reached a fever pitch. Crew members whispered of curses and omens, their fear palpable in the air. I tried to remain calm and composed, to reassure the crew that everything would be all right, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at my insides. There was something deeply unsettling about the symbols, something that spoke to a primal fear buried deep within the human psyche. And as I stared at the latest symbol to appear on the bulkhead of Deck 7, its intricate lines and curves taunting me with their inscrutable meaning, I knew that we were facing something far beyond our comprehension. But whether we would ever uncover the truth behind the symbols remained to be seen. As the days stretched on and the symbols continued to appear throughout the ship, a sense of unease settled over the USS Epsilon like a suffocating blanket. Crew members reported strange visions and hallucinations, their minds tormented by images that defied logic and reason. I tried to reassure them, to offer words of comfort and encouragement, but it was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with nothing but my bare hands. The fear was spreading like wildfire, consuming everything in its path. Dr. Chen and I worked tirelessly to decipher the symbols, poring over every piece of data we could find in search of answers. But no matter how hard we tried, the symbols remained stubbornly incomprehensible, their meaning elusive and enigmatic. "It's like they're mocking us," Dr. Chen muttered, frustration evident in his voice as he slammed his fist against the console in frustration. "No matter how much we study them, we're no closer to understanding what they mean." I nodded in agreement, my own frustration boiling over into anger. "We need to find a way to break through this barrier, to unlock the secrets of the symbols before it's too late," I said, my voice tinged with desperation. But as the days turned into weeks and the symbols continued to proliferate, it became increasingly clear that time was running out. The crew was on edge, their nerves frayed and raw, and I knew that if we didn't find a solution soon, things would spiral out of control. And then, just when it seemed like all hope was lost, a breakthrough occurred. Dr. Chen stumbled upon a reference in an ancient text that bore a striking resemblance to one of the symbols, sparking a glimmer of hope in our hearts. "We may be onto something here," he said, his eyes shining with excitement as he shared his findings with me. If we can cross-reference this text with the data we've collected, we might finally be able to decipher the symbol's meaning. My heart soared at his words, a renewed sense of purpose flooding through me. "Let's get to work," I said, determination firm in my voice. "We may not have much time, but if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that we won't give up without a fight." As Dr. Chen and I delved deeper into our research, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of a breakthrough, that the answers we sought were within our grasp. Little did I know, however, that our quest for knowledge would lead us down a path darker and more perilous than anything we could have ever imagined. The oppressive silence of the USS Epsilon's corridors was broken only by the soft hum of machinery and the occasional echoing footstep. It was late, the ship's lights dimmed to simulate night, but sleep eluded me as I made my way through the labyrinthine passageways. As I rounded a corner, I caught sight of Lieutenant Patel, her figure outlined by the dim glow of emergency lighting. She jumped at the sound of my approach, her hand instinctively reaching for the sidearm holstered at her hip before relaxing as she recognized me. "Dr. Carter," she greeted me, her voice tight with tension. "Apologies, I'm a little on edge tonight." I offered her a sympathetic smile, understanding all too well the creeping unease that seemed to permeate every corner of the ship. "No need to apologize, Lieutenant. We're all feeling the strain." Together, we continued down the corridor, our footsteps echoing off the metal walls. As we walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes followed our every move from the shadows. Suddenly, a movement caught my eye, a flicker of movement at the edge of my vision, swift and elusive. I turned, but there was nothing there, just the empty expanse of corridor stretching out before us. "Did you see that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lieutenant Patel shook her head, her brow furrowed in confusion. "See what, Doctor?" I hesitated, unsure of how to answer. Had I imagined the movement, or was there something lurking in the darkness, just beyond the reach of our senses? Before I could voice my thoughts, a chill ran down my spine as I felt a presence behind us, a sensation of being watched that sent a shiver down my spine. "Did you feel that?" I asked, my voice barely audible over the sound of my pounding heart. Lieutenant Patel nodded, her hand tightening around the grip of her sidearm. "I felt it too," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. With mounting trepidation, we continued down the corridor, the sense of unease growing with each passing moment. And as we rounded the next corner, I caught sight of something that sent a chill down my spine, a shadowy figure, its form barely discernible in the dim light, watching us from the end of the hallway. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the figure, unable to tear my eyes away. It seemed to flicker and shift in the darkness, its features indistinct and ephemeral. "Who, or what, is that?" Lieutenant Patel asked, her voice barely a whisper. I shook my head, my mind racing with possibilities. "I don't know," I admitted, my voice tinged with fear. "But I have a feeling we're about to find out." With a sense of dread creeping over me, I took a hesitant step forward, my eyes locked on the shadowy figure at the end of the corridor. And as I moved closer, the figure seemed to recede into the darkness, its presence fading like smoke in the wind. But even as it vanished from sight, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone, that something lurked just beyond the edge of perception, waiting to reveal itself in the darkness. And as I stood there, frozen in place, I knew that our encounter with the shadowy figures was only the beginning of a journey into the heart of darkness that awaited us aboard the USS Epsilon. The encounter with the shadowy figure lingered in my mind long after Lieutenant Patel and I returned to the relative safety of the bridge. My thoughts churned with questions, doubts, and a gnawing sense of unease that refused to be quelled. As I sat at my workstation, poring over data and simulations in a futile attempt to distract myself, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were teetering on the edge of something vast and incomprehensible, something that lurked just beyond the reach of our understanding. A soft chime broke through my reverie, signaling an incoming transmission from Dr. Chen. I accepted the call, grateful for the distraction as his face appeared on the view screen before me. "Emily, I think you need to see this," he said, his voice urgent. "I've been analyzing the data from our encounter with the shadowy figure, and I believe I've made a breakthrough." My heart leaped with anticipation as Dr. Chen shared his findings with me, his words painting a picture of a phenomenon unlike anything we had ever encountered before. According to his analysis, the shadowy figures were not hallucinations or tricks of the light, but manifestations of some unknown force that defied explanation. "It's as if they exist in a space between dimensions, a liminal space where the laws of physics break down and reality becomes fluid and malleable," Dr. Chen explained, his excitement palpable. But even as he spoke, a sense of dread settled over me, a nagging voice in the back of my mind warning me of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. If the shadowy figures were indeed manifestations of some cosmic force beyond our understanding, what hope did we have of stopping them? As the implications of Dr. Chen's discovery sank in, I knew that we had no choice but to confront the unknown head-on, to delve deeper into the darkness in search of answers. "We need to investigate further," I said, my voice firm with determination. "We can't let fear hold us back. We need to confront this threat, whatever it may be, and find a way to stop it before it's too late." Dr. Chen nodded in agreement, his expression resolute. "I'll continue my analysis and see if I can uncover any more information," he said. "In the meantime, I suggest we prepare ourselves for whatever lies ahead." With a sense of purpose driving me forward, I set about rallying the crew, preparing them for the challenges that lay ahead. There was no time to waste, the fate of humanity hung in the balance, and it was up to us to confront the darkness that threatened to consume us all. As the USS Epsilon hurtled deeper into the unknown, I knew that our journey was far from over. But with courage, determination, and the unwavering support of my crew, I was confident that we would find a way to overcome the cosmic horrors that lurked in the depths of space, and emerge victorious on the other side. The USS Epsilon drifted through the void of space, its hull creaking and groaning as if in protest against the unseen forces that surrounded it. Inside the ship, the crew moved with a sense of urgency, their footsteps echoing off the metal walls as they prepared for what lay ahead. I stood at the helm, my fingers flying across the control panel as I navigated the ship through the darkness. Beside me, Captain Reyes watched with a furrowed brow, his expression tense with anticipation. "Are you sure about this, Emily?" he asked, his voice low with concern. I nodded, my jaw set with determination. "We have to confront the cosmic horrors head-on, Marcus. There's no other choice." With a grim nod, Captain Reyes turned his attention back to the view screen, his gaze fixed on the swirling darkness that stretched out before us. The ship shuddered beneath us as we plunged deeper into the unknown, the darkness closing in around us like a suffocating blanket. As we neared our destination, a sense of unease settled over the crew, a palpable tension that hung in the air like a thick fog. I could feel the weight of their fear pressing down on me, a heavy burden that threatened to crush us all. But despite the mounting dread that gnawed at my insides, I knew that we had to press forward, to confront the cosmic horrors that lurked in the darkness and uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. As we drew closer to our destination, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, more oppressive, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling before our eyes. Strange whispers echoed through the corridors of the ship, their voices soft and insistent, urging us onward into the heart of the unknown. I glanced around the bridge, taking in the faces of my fellow crew members, each one a portrait of fear and uncertainty. But beneath their fear, I saw something else, a steely resolve, a determination to see this through to the end, no matter the cost. With a silent nod of acknowledgement, I turned my attention back to the view screen, my hands steady on the controls. As the USS Epsilon hurtled deeper into the darkness, I knew that our journey was far from over, but with courage, determination, and the unwavering support of my crew, I was confident that we would find a way to overcome the cosmic horrors that lurked in the depths of space, and emerge victorious on the other side. As the USS Epsilon ventured deeper into the darkness of space, a sense of urgency hung heavy in the air. The crew moved with purpose, their movements swift and efficient as they prepared for the final confrontation with the cosmic horrors that lurked beyond. I stood at the forefront, my mind racing with the weight of our mission. Every moment felt like an eternity as we raced against time to uncover the truth before it was too late. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly in the lab, poring over data and simulations in a desperate bid to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. His brow furrowed in concentration, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he searched for answers. "We're running out of time," he muttered, his voice tense with frustration. "We need to find a way to stop this before it's too late." I nodded in agreement, my heart pounding in my chest as I watched the seconds tick by. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if urging us onward into the heart of the unknown. But despite the mounting pressure, I refused to let fear consume me. I had come too far to turn back now, and I would see this through to the end, no matter the cost. With a sense of determination burning in my chest, I turned to the rest of the crew, rallying them for the final push. We had come too far to let fear hold us back now, and together, we would confront the darkness that threatened to consume us all. As the minutes turned to hours, the tension aboard the USS Epsilon reached its breaking point. Every member of the crew felt the weight of our mission pressing down on them, a heavy burden that threatened to crush us all. But despite the odds stacked against us, we pressed onward, driven by a determination to uncover the truth and confront the cosmic horrors that lurked in the darkness. And as the final moments of our journey drew near, I knew that our fate hung in the balance. But with courage, determination, and the unwavering support of my crew, I was confident that we would emerge victorious on the other side, our mission complete and the echoes of the void silenced once and for all. The void stretched before us, an expanse of darkness punctuated by the distant glimmer of stars. At the heart of it all loomed the anomaly, a swirling mass of energy that defied explanation. As the lead scientist aboard the USS Epsilon, it was my duty to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos, but nothing in my years of study could have prepared me for this. Captain Reyes stood at my side, his expression grim as he surveyed the anomaly. "What do you make of it, Dr. Carter?" he asked, his voice tense with anticipation. I tore my gaze away from the anomaly and consulted the data streaming across the monitors. "The energy readings are off the charts," I replied, furrowing my brow in concentration. "And the gravitational distortions, they're unlike anything we've ever encountered." Dr. Chen, our resident xenobiologist, hovered nearby, his glasses slipping down his nose as he peered at the readings. "It's as if the anomaly is drawing in everything around it," he murmured, his voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. Tensions ran high among the crew as we prepared to venture into the unknown. Each of us carried the weight of our own fears and uncertainties, but we knew that our mission was more important than any personal qualms. With a nod from Captain Reyes, I signaled to the navigation team to plot a course toward the anomaly. The ship's engines hummed to life as we edged closer, the sense of anticipation palpable in the air. As we drew nearer, the anomaly seemed to pulse with energy, sending shivers down my spine. I gripped the railing tightly, my heart pounding in my chest as we braced for whatever lay ahead. Suddenly, the ship shuddered beneath us, and alarms blared throughout the bridge. "We're caught in its gravitational pull," shouted Lieutenant Ramirez, her voice tinged with panic. I glanced at the monitors, my heart sinking as I saw the readings spike uncontrollably. "Brace for impact," I yelled, gripping the railing as the ship lurched forward, hurtling toward the heart of the anomaly. With a deafening roar, we plunged into the swirling mass of energy, the world around us twisting and distorting with each passing moment. I felt as if I were being torn apart, my very essence unraveling in the chaos. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the tumult subsided, leaving us adrift in the darkness of space. We had crossed the threshold into the unknown, and there was no turning back. As the USS Epsilon floated in the void, the crew gathered on the bridge, their faces drawn with a mixture of awe and trepidation. We had breached the barrier into the heart of the anomaly, and now we stood on the precipice of discovery. Captain Reyes stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the swirling vortex of energy that surrounded us. "What do you make of it, Dr. Carter?" he asked, turning to me with a furrowed brow. I studied the data streaming across the monitors, my mind racing to make sense of the incomprehensible. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "The energy readings are off the charts, and the gravitational distortions, they're beyond anything we thought possible." Dr. Chen hovered nearby, his eyes wide with excitement. "It's as if the anomaly is a gateway to another dimension," he mused, his voice tinged with awe. "A realm beyond our wildest imaginings." Tensions ran high among the crew as we prepared to venture further into the unknown. Each of us carried the weight of our own fears and uncertainties, but we knew that our mission was more important than any personal qualms. With a nod from Captain Reyes, I signaled to the navigation team to plot a course deeper into the heart of the anomaly. The ship's engines hummed to life as we edged closer, the sense of anticipation hanging heavy in the air. As we delved deeper into the swirling mass of energy, reality seemed to warp and twist around us. The laws of physics no longer applied, and the very fabric of space-time seemed to unravel before our eyes. I gripped the railing tightly, my heart pounding in my chest as we pressed on into the unknown. The crew watched in awe as we passed through the swirling maelstrom, the ship's hull groaning under the strain of the cosmic forces at play. And then, suddenly, we emerged into a vast expanse of emptiness, the anomaly fading into the distance behind us. We had crossed the threshold into a realm beyond comprehension, and now we stood on the brink of discovery. Captain Reyes turned to me, his eyes alight with determination. "What do you make of it, Dr. Carter?" he asked, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that lay before us. I studied the readings on the monitors, my mind racing with possibilities. "It's a void," I replied, my voice tinged with wonder. An empty expanse stretching out before us, devoid of all light and matter. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. "But what lies beyond the void?" he wondered aloud, his voice echoing through the silent expanse of space. As the crew gathered around the monitors, we knew that our journey was far from over. We had glimpsed the edge of the universe, but what lay beyond remained a mystery waiting to be unraveled. With a renewed sense of purpose, we set our course for the unknown, ready to confront whatever secrets the cosmos held in store. For in the darkness of space, the echoes of the void whispered of untold wonders and terrors yet to be discovered. And so, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, the crew of the USS Epsilon ventured forth into the unknown, their hearts filled with hope and fear in equal measure. For beyond the stars, the echoes of the void awaited, a haunting reminder of the infinite mysteries that lay just beyond our grasp. As the USS Epsilon glides through the silent expanse of space, a sense of anticipation hangs heavy in the air. We stand on the threshold of the unknown, on the brink of confronting the cosmic entity that has haunted our journey. Tension crackles like electricity as we approach our destination, our hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Captain Reyes stands at the helm, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of energy that looms before us. His jaw is set in determination, a silent promise that he will do whatever it takes to protect his crew. I exchange a nervous glance with Dr. Chen, who adjusts his glasses with trembling hands. We've come too far to turn back now, too invested in unraveling the mysteries of the universe. As we draw closer to the cosmic entity, a strange sensation washes over me, like a chill wind blowing through my soul. I can feel its presence, an ancient and unfathomable intelligence that reaches out across the void to touch us. Whispers echo through the corridors of the ship, words that seem to reverberate inside my mind, twisting and distorting my thoughts. Dr. Chen's voice breaks through the haze of confusion, his words sharp and urgent. "We need to establish contact with the entity," he says, his eyes alight with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We need to understand its motives, its desires. I nod in agreement, steeling myself for what lies ahead. With a sense of grim determination, I make my way to the communications center, where Lieutenant Alvarez stands ready at the controls. She gives me a reassuring nod as I take my place beside her, fingers poised over the console. Opening channel to the cosmic entity, she announces, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty that runs through her. With a flick of her wrist, she initiates the transmission, sending our message out into the void. For a moment, there is only silence, a void of sound that stretches on for eternity. Then, slowly, a response comes, faint and distorted but unmistakable. It fills the room, echoing off the walls like the tolling of a distant bell. The entity's voice is like nothing I've ever heard before, a symphony of strange harmonics that seem to resonate with the very fabric of reality itself. It speaks of ancient truths and cosmic mysteries, of worlds beyond worlds and beings beyond comprehension. We listen in awe and terror as the entity reveals its nature to us, a being of pure energy and consciousness, existing outside the bounds of time and space. It tells us of its purpose, its mission to safeguard the universe from the encroaching darkness that threatens to consume it. But as the conversation unfolds, I begin to sense a darkness lurking beneath the entity's words, a shadowy presence that fills me with a sense of dread. It speaks of sacrifice and oblivion, of a future where all is lost to the void. I exchange a worried glance with Dr. Chen, who nods in silent agreement. We must tread carefully, for the fate of not just our crew, but the entire universe, hangs in the balance. With a deep breath, I steel myself for what comes next. It's time to confront the cosmic entity head-on, to unravel the mysteries that have plagued us since the beginning of our journey. Whatever the outcome, we must face it together, as one united friend against the darkness that lurks just beyond the stars. As the transmission with the cosmic entity ends, a heavy silence settles over the bridge of the USS Epsilon. We exchange uneasy glances, the weight of the entity's words hanging heavy in the air. It's clear that stopping the entity may require a sacrifice, one that none of us are prepared to make. Captain Reyes breaks the silence, his voice grave but resolute. We cannot allow the entity to continue unchecked, he declares, his gaze sweeping over the assembled crew. We must do whatever it takes to stop it, even if it means making the ultimate sacrifice. The crew murmurs in agreement, a sense of determination settling over us like a cloak. We've faced countless dangers together, overcome impossible odds, and now we stand on the precipice of our greatest challenge yet. But as we prepare to confront the entity, a sense of unease gnaws at the edges of my mind. Dr. Chen approaches me, his expression troubled. "Emily, we need to consider the implications of our actions," he says, his voice low and urgent. "If we're going to stop the entity, it may require a sacrifice, a life for a life." His words send a chill down my spine, but I know he's right. We've come too far to turn back now, too invested in uncovering the truth behind the cosmic mysteries that have plagued us. But the thought of sacrificing one of our own weighs heavily on my heart, a burden I'm not sure I can bear. I turn to Captain Reyes, who meets my gaze with a steely resolve. "We need to make a decision," he says, his voice firm but compassionate. "We cannot allow fear to cloud our judgment. We must do what is necessary to protect our crew and the universe as a whole." With a heavy heart, I nod in agreement. We've faced impossible choices before, and we've always come through stronger on the other side. But this feels different, more final somehow, as if the fate of the entire universe hangs in the balance. As we prepare to carry out our plan, I can't shake the feeling that there's something we're missing, some piece of the puzzle that eludes us. But there's no time for doubt or hesitation. We must act quickly if we're to have any hope of stopping the entity before it's too late. With a sense of grim determination, we set our plan into motion, each of us steeling ourselves for the inevitable sacrifice that lies ahead. As we draw closer to our destination, a sense of foreboding settles over the ship, a silent reminder of the stakes we face. But as we confront the entity head-on, a shocking revelation awaits us, one that changes everything we thought we knew about the universe and our place within it. With the truth laid bare before us, we must confront our deepest fears and doubts, and find the strength to carry on in the face of unimaginable adversity. As the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place, I realize that our journey is far from over. The echoes of the void will continue to resonate throughout the universe, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the stars. But as long as we stand together, as one united front against the forces of chaos and destruction, we can face whatever challenges the cosmos throws our way. With the confrontation with the cosmic entity behind us, the crew of the USS Epsilon emerges from the ordeal forever changed. As we gather in the ship's mess hall, there's a palpable sense of exhaustion mingled with relief, our faces drawn and weary from the trials we've endured. But despite the toll it has taken on us, there's also a sense of camaraderie and solidarity, a shared bond forged in the crucible of adversity. Captain Reyes stands at the head of the room, his voice steady and commanding as he addresses the crew. "We've faced unimaginable challenges together," he says, his words echoing through the hushed silence. "But through it all, we've stood strong, united in our determination to uncover the truth and protect humanity from the forces that seek to destroy us." There's a chorus of nods and murmurs of agreement from the crew, a testament to the unbreakable spirit that binds us together. We may be weary and battered, but we're also stronger than we've ever been, fortified by the trials we've overcome and the bonds we've forged along the way. As we reflect on the journey we've undertaken, I can't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder at the magnitude of what we've accomplished. We've delved into the depths of space, confronted cosmic horrors beyond imagining, and emerged victorious against all odds. But our journey is far from over, and the challenges that lie ahead are as vast and unknowable as the cosmos itself. Dr. Chen approaches me, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips. "We've come a long way, Emily," he says, his voice tinged with pride. "But our work is far from finished. There's still so much left to discover, so many mysteries left to unravel." I nod in agreement, my mind already turning to the future and the endless possibilities that lie ahead. Despite the dangers that lurk in the darkness of space, I know that we'll face them head-on, armed with the knowledge and determination that have carried us this far. As we prepare to return to Earth, I feel a sense of optimism and hope for the future, a belief that no matter what challenges may come our way, we'll face them together, as one united crew. The echoes of our journey will continue to resonate throughout the universe, a testament to the resilience and courage of humanity in the face of the unknown. And as the USS Epsilon sets course for home, I know that our legacy will endure, a beacon of light shining brightly in the darkness of space, guiding future generations towards a brighter tomorrow. For as long as there are stars in the sky and mysteries to uncover, our journey will continue, an eternal quest for truth, knowledge, and understanding.